talk a little bit about the tools of the trade for a bodybuilder. For me, it's very important to pick a goal. Picking a goal meaning, when's your competition? You know, and what does it mean to actually decide to do a show, and how far out do you need to be? If you're in January and you decide to do a show in February, well, how realistic is that? You only need to lose 5 pounds? If that's the case, maybe it's realistic. But if you need to lose 30 pounds, that's probably not going to happen. So you got to be realistic in your goals and how you set your goals. So for me, the calendar is a big deal. Picking a date and then working backwards. Okay, do you have enough time? You know, you're not losing 5 pounds a week. Some people may argue with this. For me, 1.5 pounds is about right. And it really depends on, again, you know, how much weight do you have to lose to begin with. You know, if it's 30 pounds, then that's going to take some time. You don't want to be doing this at the last minute, meaning 10 pounds in the next 2 weeks you have to lose to hit a show. And that's going to make things very, very difficult and stressful. And stress is one thing you want to try to eliminate from in your life, period. Okay. So I use logs actually to tell me, you know, how much weight am I lifting? What am I doing that day? How do I feel? Depending on foods I eat. And now I know enough where a lot of the logs I don't have to really do, because I know my body so well now that when I eat certain foods, I know what to stay away from. Like brown rice doesn't really agree with me as much as like sweet potatoes do. So the other thing is a scale. So every morning I wake up, and in my book you can see that you have weights that are measured. Typically, as soon as I wake up in the morning, around 5 o'clock or 4:30, I'll weigh myself. And so I know that the water is pretty much out of my body. Depending on what I ate that night before, I might be holding still a little bit of water. And so my weight might fluctuate, but this is just a tool for me. It's not, you know, it's just to give me trends over time. So when I look at a month period chunk, I can see in a week I've gone up and down, but the trend has gone down for the most part, and that's what I'm looking for. So I'm not going to get nervous about being 5 pounds heavier the next day than the day before, because it will depend on what I eat. So if I had what they call a refeed, and some people don't like that term, but let's just call it that. It means that you ate a little bit more carbs, or you had a cheat meal the night before. Well, you're probably going to weigh a little bit more the next day because you're holding on to water. So you should expect that, which I do. So I know now if I eat certain things that basically how much I weigh at night, I understand how much I'm going to weigh in the morning for the most part, just through experience. These and these measuring devices, spoons and cups, probably the most important besides the scale, to weigh your food, measure your food, and understand what you're putting into your body. Without these, you have no idea. You have no clue. And that's one of probably the biggest things I've learned while bodybuilding. Yeah, you can go to the gym every day and do your routine, but if you're not putting the right nutrients and you know exactly what's going into your body for the most part, you really don't know what you're doing. You need to understand your nutritional needs and what you need to do for that. So this is how you measure that, either by spoons or cups and a scale. So everything I eat, I actually will measure. I have to do this. It's the only way I'm going to lose the weight that I want to, or gain the weight I want to. So to mix my protein powders and to smash things together, I actually like the NutriBullet. A blender will work, it really doesn't matter. This is what I use. The other thing that I do is there are certain protein powders I like. I happen to like this VPX, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, bodybuilding.com, give them a plug. They actually are pretty good about assessing what's good and what's not for certain products. I tend to like this particular brand because it's 0 carbs and it's high grade. A little expensive, but when I weigh things out, no pun intended, the food that I'm buying, typically chicken or whatever it might be, the supplement, okay, is just for convenience for me. Otherwise, I want to eat food. I want to eat, you know, chicken or fish or whatever is on your diet, plant, typically natural foods. I only use protein powder or supplementation for that, just a supplement, because I don't have time. my daily job duties, I can't just break for, every 2 or 3 hours to eat. So I, use shakes and things like that to help me along. And I think most people are in that boat. One more thing is that containers. This is very important. So what I like to do is, I'm pretty methodical in how I store my food. I usually will take one day and have a prep day. And I'll actually get my vegetables, put them in a big roasting pan and do it all at one time. And then I weigh it out or measure it out and then put it into its container. And then I'll put it in my refrigerator, neatly stacked. So one day, typically a couple of hours, does it take me to do all my food. So that way, I'm not wasting my time during the week trying to, make a meal. It's impossible for me to do that. Plus, in the morning time when I'm on the go, I can actually sleep a little bit later because now my meals are already done for me. I just pull them out, put them in my container, and I go to work, and I'm done. So I come home, typically I'll make a meal. At that point, maybe I'll pull it out of the refrigerator, it depends. For me, it's just a convenience thing. It allows me to do what I need to do, and it makes me feel good about, the time in which I'm taking to do it. It gives me more time during the week to do other things, because this takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's a selfish sport. Don't let anybody kid you. It's a very selfish sport. You're doing it for yourself, and your moods are going to swing, and you're going to have some difficult times trying to deal with things when you're on a low-carb diet, especially at the end. That may not be true for everybody. It's true for me. One of the other tools doesn't have to be smart water. This actually isn't smart water. This is being reused over and over again. I clean it. But I actually put water in, it's measured out for me like anything else. I'm supposed to have 2.5 gallons a day. So that's 2.5 of these. Well, 2.5 of these guys equals 1 gallon. So I know exactly how much water I'm taking in. I'm trying to drink it all day long. Yeah, during my workout, I typically will drink 2 of these. But I'm there for an hour, hour and a half to 2 hours for my workouts. And that's not always convenient for people. You can split that up to double routines if you need to, depending on what you're trying to do. If it's a show, you're probably going to spend at least an hour in the gym every day, more than likely. It depends on the individual again and what you're trying to do and what your regimen's like. But water is extremely important, and I think a lot of people are dehydrated, walking around every day dehydrated. You have to have enough water, because how do things move around in your body? If you're dehydrated, then how are you getting those nutrients to where they need to be? You gotta have water.
Now we're going to show you a couple exercises to help train the rotator cuff and really strengthen that muscle.
Let's find some bitch weight.
Muscles.
So over here on an incline bench, now this can be done with a seated, flat, so 90-degree bench, or an incline bench. Anything that you can get your arm so that it is parallel with the ground.
Hey uncle, my arms are bigger than yours, and more sexy, haha, and more anabolic.